I keep telling y'all, I keep saying it over and over again. You go woke, you go broke. And now, here we are, Netflix. So Jada Pinkett Smith is basically executive producing this documentary that they're doing, about Cleopatra. In this documentary, everybody is up in arms because guess what? These people actually had the audacity to make Cleopatra a black woman. And that's how they're marketing the movie, is they're telling the story about the real Cleopatra, the black woman, and this is the truth, right? I just want to have an unfiltered conversation about this because I have two main issues with this, and I'm going to break down each one. So, my first issue with this is that Cleopatra was not black. She was not African. She did not have black in her. Let's just be honest. There is no evidence that Cleopatra was black. There isn't. That's just something that black people take and run with. Look, because I'm sitting there looking like this because, yeah, I know people say Africans were originally black and all that kind of stuff. Do I believe that? Yeah, I'm not gonna argue with that. But guess what? There is no evidence. Most of the people that are pro-black admit that white people came in or that Europeans actually came in and intermingled with them. Cleopatra was Greek. She was Greek and possibly had some Iranian mixed in there somewhere. But she was not black. She was not African. She was not you. She is not your token symbol to represent your black queen. Because look, we saw this with Woman King. Somehow, for some reason, everyone tends to have this what do you call it? This unnecessary desire to try to blackwash all of these historical figures. And let's just be honest. Everybody was not black. Some people are European. Some people are Asian. It's just the way it is. I'm just gonna preface this right now. I'm not a historian. I'm not a history buff. But guess what? I do have a general knowledge, and I do keep up with significant historical events. So I'm like, I know people love to say that. I know people love to say that, because because you have an opinion on something that you have to be like, that you had to go to college for it, or that you had to study a course in order to have an opinion on common knowledge. Everybody seems to think that what they know is some secret society or some secret cabal where they have all the information, and everything that everybody else might know or have access to is just unavailable to them. That doesn't make sense to me. It doesn't. It really doesn't. Because what makes you think that I don't have the ability to look up the same things that you did? What we're looking at here is Jada Pinkett Smith and his crew. Netflix is going along with it because Netflix has long since been on the woke train. They've long since been on the woke train. A lot of these companies, they just loving this because they know that black people are so stupid that they're gonna go out and support it just for the fact that it's a black woman or a black man. That's why they went out and supported the Woman King. The very concept of that movie is stupid. It's stupid. A woman king? What the hell is a woman king? What's wrong with a queen? But then when someone says that there's an agenda, oh, they're crazy. Oh, they're tripping. What is a woman king? They went out and they made a movie where they took a group of women from a tribe that was selling slaves, the homies, and sit there and turn it into Black Panther, and y'all niggas ate it up. They turned it into Black Panther, and y'all niggas ate it up. Now they're doing this with Cleopatra. They're going off of the idea that most black people know or are familiar with, and a lot of people actually in general public are familiar with the fact that at one time Egyptians were African. But guess what? That time is long since gone away. And part of the reason for that is Cleopatra. It's the truth. Part of the reason for that is Cleopatra. She was the last. If she wasn't black, and she wasn't even Egyptian, so she wasn't even the mixed Egyptians that pro blacks, that black hoteps and the wokes and all them they talk about. She wasn't even the mixed Egyptian. She was different from even them. But because it's from Egypt, you just automatically want to put that black label on her. Now, why is this? In my opinion, I believe that it's because blacks don't have a culture. American blacks don't have a culture, and therefore, the culture that they had was lost when they got on the ships. When they were on the slave ships, that culture was lost. It's a fact. It's a common knowledge. For all you dumb people talking that think just because somebody is conservative or that think that somebody just isn't running in the Victim Olympics, that they aren't aware of what black people deal with. I'm not saying they didn't deal with nothing. They lost their culture on the boat. The slave masters beat it out of them. Fair enough. But two things can be true. That can be true, and black people are so desperate now that they're willing to cling to anything. They're just looking for something to cling to. That way they can have something. Not all black people in America came on a slave ship. And then you hear these arguments all the time. And it's just, it really is perplexing sometimes, because what is the thing that people love to say? They love to say that, well, y'all just gonna believe it. No, scratch that. Because the lady said it in the documentary. The lady in the documentary, the trailer, she talked about how her grandmother or her mom or whatever told her that no matter what anybody say, no matter what them white folks tell you, Cleopatra was black. And that stuff goes down generations. Generations. So you raising somebody off of ignorance in a generation, teaching them to basically go against history. And I hear this argument all the time. Y'all believe that white man. Y'all believe anything that white man tell y'all. I hate to hear it, man, because it's so crazy, because you can't reason with those kind of people. Those are the kind of people where when you talking about definitions of the words that they say, then they want to talk about, oh, well, you using the white man's language anyway. How we know that's what it means? Because you're using the language. If that's the case, then nothing you're saying makes sense. It's the same thing with this. History is told from the perspective of the culture. The civilization, that is the perspective that history is told from. So if you live amongst a bunch of Europeans and white folks, then guess what? That's what you're going to learn. If you don't agree with it, disprove it. Disprove it. But there is no evidence that that woman is black. And y'all don't care what the evidence says. You just want you want a token to cling on to. An idol. They just call it for what? You want a token to cling on to. An idol. Let's just call it for what it is. The idea that just because a white man says it, or because it's part of European history, that is false, that's asinine. That's asinine. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense. And if you really want to be honest, most blacks can't complain because they lost. They lost. If you won, you would be telling the story. If you were the dominant ethnicity, then you would be telling the story. American blacks lost their culture. They lost their history. Let's just be honest. Most of us are mutts. We'll never know. We'll never, it's really going to be hard. We have to do a lot of things in order to actually find out where we came from. But most of us are an amalgamation. But that's also not an excuse to sit up and try to debo and hijack other cultures. Let's just be real. It's also not an excuse to make up things without proof. A lot of y'all don't have any real evidence to support the things that you believe. Then you distort history. You're basically doing it to push an agenda. And that brings it to my second point, which is what I really have a problem with, is because it's clearly pushing an agenda. There's a clear agenda here, and we're seeing it. Now let's use an example where I didn't necessarily have a problem with. Okay, The Little Mermaid, right? The Disney movie Little Mermaid, we know is gonna be played by Halle Bailey, right? You know, incredibly talented, beautiful girl. But let's just be real. The original Ariel was Danish. The original Little Mermaid was based off of Danish, I think, or something like that. But yeah, she was white with red hair. The reason why it's a little different is because a mermaid is a fictional creature. It's a fictional creature. It's not real. Or it's not proven to be real. It's not the same thing. It can be left to interpretation. Because for all we know, a mermaid can really be blue. It can be blue skinned with crystal clear eyes, green hair, it could be anything. That's why it's different. But what these people are doing, they're taking real people, real historic people, and they're trying to change them. They're trying to change them, blackwash them, and change them into a figure that they can then use as a token or icon. An idol. It's the same thing that they do with Jesus. Jesus might not have been white, but Jesus wasn't African. He wasn't black like that. Like, come on. But like, let's just be real. Everybody has their own beliefs about stuff. I've been on all different sides of the spectrum. I've gone from believing that blacks were the chosen people. I don't believe that anymore. I personally, if you want to know what I personally believe, I believe that blacks and Jews are different. They're different. They're not the same thing. The reason why I believe that, and this is a detour, but whatever, rock with me for a second. The reason why I believe that is because blacks historically predate anything that the Bible says. So I don't believe that the Bible is wrong. I believe that the Bible is a story, or is a story for a particular people. But we know that there are humans dating back like thousands and almost like years, dating back so many years. That's just what I believe. I believe that it's more complicated than what any side is trying to make it out to be. I don't believe that one side has to be wrong. It's just like what they say. There's two sides, and then there's the truth. I believe that all there's different parts of the puzzle, and there's a truth somewhere in there. But I'm saying that to say that I don't agree. I don't agree with the idea that blacks need to cling to idols or to look for something. Why not focus on being the idol now? I'm against idols because idolatry is bad. All right, it's not good. But I'm just saying, why not focus on being great now if you know that you don't have a culture? If you know that you don't really have a real history, why not focus on being great and creating that history? It's just it's just interesting because I don't get it. But apparently the Egyptians don't either, because really the other part of this that we need to talk about is that the Egyptians are actually suing. They are prepared to take legal action. They are prepared to take legal action against Netflix for doing this documentary, because it's not true. And you know what? I salute them, because stand up for your history. Stand up for your culture. Black people always want to stand up for their culture, but they always want to stand up for it in the worst way, for the worst people. Stand up for your culture. Blacks get mad about people whitewashing. Every culture should do it. If you think it's okay to get mad about them whitewashing something, but you're okay with them being overly inclusive, then the other race has the right. They have the right to want the same thing. You can't have it both ways. You can't have it both ways. I don't. I don't know, man. I don't like it. I don't like it because you don't have to be a historian. You don't have to be a historian to know that she's not black. Why lie? Tell the truth. Tell the truth, shame the devil. It's an agenda. It's an agenda where they're trying to place men, lower in the lower, and they're trying to raise women up to be not only equal but greater than men. And they're using media to do it. Look at the woman who's the executive producer for this movie. Jada Pinkett Smith. Miss Entanglement. Miss, I'm going to make my husband sit and watch me talk about my affair on the internet for the whole internet to see. What are we doing here, man? I mean, come on. Let's just be for real. What are we doing here? Why are y'all so dumb that y'all are willing to fall for this? But you're going to see it, though. You're going to see it. Because, like, all these places are starting to learn. And like I've said multiple times, when you go woke, you go broke. You're not going to be able to keep indoctrinating people, feeding them with these lies, trying to corrupt people, trying to, like, destroy people's minds. Like, come on. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. That's the thing. A lot of these people with so-called college degrees, they be the most indoctrinated ones. They be the most indoctrinated ones. I don't know, man. I don't get it. I don't get it. It's countries right now trying to overturn a dollar. Clicking up against us. And we have to sit here and argue about basic things like a boy being a boy and a girl being a girl, or whether historical figures were black or not. Like, it's just exhausting sometimes because it's like, that is not how you fight the fight. It's not how you fight the fight. I don't know, but like I said, I salute the Egyptians for standing up and standing on their square and getting this. I hope they get this up out of here, because you cannot continue to be indoctrinating people, indoctrinating people's kids, indoctrinating people and telling them these lies, because they're lies. They're lies. I hope they fight this with everything they got. I ain't even gonna fake it. You have the right to have whatever opinion you want. And people have the right to challenge and go against your opinion. But guess what? It's a difference between having an opinion and producing something and claiming that it's a fact, or that it's a historical fact. And that is what's not cool. That's what's not cool. So that's just my 2 cents on it. So I hope you enjoyed the podcast. If you made it to the end, I just want to say I appreciate you for rocking out with me, and salute.